The death of Bandit Keith. Let's watch.
Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. This time we are going to be looking at one character that probably nobody cares about, rightfully so, and that is Bandit Keith. So
does no one care about Keith? I'm sorry, the name is like hard to pronounce for me. But I feel like this guy is to remember mostly for memes, right? And especially the abridged memes, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged memes really make this character not as forgettable as he probably should have been. But yeah, he was also in the quarterfinals, right? And he was also victim of the censorship, on the pointing thing mainly. But apparently also he's dead? Question mark? Let's see.
So for those of you that are unfamiliar with this, I made a bet that if my YouTube channel ever reached 75,000 subscribers, which it has, so thank you so much for that, I would commission a Bandit Keith cosplay and wear it on a few live streams. Now, I am commissioning that cosplay to be done by Harmonize With Me and Neophi, two
Oh my god, I thought we will see it in this video. There is no cosplay in this video, dang.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Cosplayers in the community, and while there is no ETA on the completion of that, I did feel like it was appropriate to make a Bandit Keith related video as kind of a thank you for 75,000 subscribers. One of the things that has fascinated me about Bandit Keith is there are a lot of people that don't know the differences in how his quote-unquote death scene plays out in the anime dubbed, the anime subbed, and in the manga. There's pretty much 3 different ways that his death scene plays out. This
is what I mean. This shot is like so iconic.
Sub and the dub are pretty similar, but the manga is much different, and so I decided to make a video dedicated to the brutal death of Bandit Keith. Without further ado, let's begin. I hope you guys learned something new, and I hope you enjoy. So Bandit Keith, otherwise known as Keith Howard, is the American scumbag.
He has a last name? His last name is Howard? Okay.
In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Story. He is a gambler, he is a smoker, he is a drinker, he is a cheater. He is basically how I always imagine foreigners view most people that live in the United States of America.
This is a meme, right? How like Americans were portrayed. I feel like not that much anymore, but how they were portrayed during the early 2000s, I feel, in anime. It would be something like this. Like, this is the stereotypical American. I feel like I don't see that often anymore. Or maybe I'm not watching much anime now. We'll see.
And Keith's backstory is definitely darker in the manga than it is in the anime. They don't really go into...
He has a backstory? I think that his backstory was that he lost to a kid, right? That was playing what Pegasus told the kid, right? I feel like that's the backstory. Is there more than that?
As much depth in the anime about Keith's backstory. His story kind of begins the same way. He's the United States Duel Monster Champion. He's one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Players in the world, and Pegasus absolutely humiliates him. Brings a kid onto the stage at one of the tournaments to duel against him, tells the kid how to beat him. Of course, Pegasus is also cheating by reading Keith's hand and Keith's mind using the Millennium Eye, and Bandit Keith ends up getting obliterated by this kid, filling in for Pegasus, and his reputation takes a pretty massive hit. In the manga, he becomes very immersed in alcohol, drugs, gambling, and playing Russian roulette, which that is...
Whoa! Whoa. One of those is very different than the others. Yeah.
It's definitely important for later on in the main crux of this video. In the anime, we don't really see it as much. The first time we see Bandit Keith introduced, it's at the Duelist Kingdom tournament. And when he goes to the Duelist Kingdom tournament, he ends up forming this rogue, weird team with Bones and a couple of other sketchy human beings.
That was really weird, right? He was always hanging out with Bones and the other 2 guys who never did absolutely anything. And I don't know, Bones is such a cool character, it's so funny.
And through cheating and using those 3 participants to help him, he ends up qualifying as one of the 4 semifinalists alongside Janochi, Yugi, and Mai. We have to keep in mind Keith's motivation for doing this, right? He's in this tournament after he was humiliated by Pegasus not too long ago to, number 1, kind of rebuild up his reputation, but number 2, and probably the most important motivator, was to win the prize money. And so
what do you think he was gonna use the money for? Why would he use the money for? Because I know Joey was gonna pay for the Sarity's surgery, I think, or something. I don't remember. She needed something, right, for the eyesight. Yes. But what was he gonna use the money for? I don't remember. The money was different in the dub, right? In the dub was something like $1 million. I don't remember how much it was in the original one because it was, I don't know. The 2000s were the years of stereotypes. I'm from Brazil, and I imagine people had, and the image people had of the US was that we live in a jungle dancing samba and playing soccer. I know how that feels. The part is the kid doesn't return in the second, in round 2 duel. Oh. Yeah, the kid will probably know. Bones versus Bakura in the manga, very different. Oh yeah, I also heard about that. You're his sister for Joy. Yeah. The prize money, despite being millions, was equivalent to $30,000. Still a lot of money. Okay.
So when he ends up going up against Janochi in the first round of the semis, I think anyone with a heart has to be rooting for Janochi, right? Janochi wants to win the prize money to help his sister have surgery so that she can see again. Meanwhile, Keith wants to win the prize money probably so he can blow it on booze, hookers, and gambling. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I assume most of us thought that, yes.
That's probably why Keith wants to win the prize money. And so I think anyone with any sort of moral compass is rooting for Janochi to win. And honestly, the difference between these 2 characters, I mean, you cannot get any more, to me, good versus evil without bringing in supernatural or, almighty elements than Joey versus Keith in the Duelist Kingdom semifinals. And that's why I think the duel just works perfectly. As we know, Joey does end up beating Keith to move on to the finals, where he will eventually verse Yugi before Yugi takes on Pegasus. Keith tried to cheat in this duel by pulling out cards from underneath his wristband, but it was not enough and Joey won. Now, keep in mind, Pegasus, who obviously knows everything, is very aware that Bandit Keith is cheating, but just kind of wants to see how it plays out. And
that's very funny. I honestly didn't remember how many antagonists just cheat in this anime. Like, it's cool to see the duels when the characters don't cheat, because there is so many opponents that are always cheating, and seeing a duel where everyone is actually playing how they are meant to feels more special because everyone cheats. That's what I like about duel monsters. Yeah.
So Bandit Keith, after he loses, goes up to Pegasus, refusing to leave, and ends up doing this. Now, it depends what version you're watching, and this is where the 3 story arcs, whether it's dub or sub or the manga, all completely split from each other. Now, the dub and the sub is very similar. The only real difference you're going to see is the legitimacy of the threat that Bandit Keith has to Pegasus. If you're watching the English dub, Bandit Keith is just literally pointing his fingers at Pegasus's head. In the original version, of course, it's a gun. I don't think it takes a genius to know that he's probably supposed to be holding up a gun in the dub, but when you're watching this show when you're 6, 7 years old in the early 2000s...
6, 7... But also, if you're curious, yes, that cheating is actually a skill they added in Duel Links. Oh, RNG manipulation, right? RNG, a random card to hand. What do you mean? Marik cheats during the whole tournament because burn cards were banned. So funny.
It's definitely something that you might not think twice about. So that's the big difference between dub and sub, just the actual danger that Pegasus is in by Bandit Keith holding up a gun to his head versus absolutely nothing, which is pretty hilarious if I'm going to be honest.
Wait, hold on. The Marik thing, like how Marik, from my point of view, was cheating was because he was always using the Shadow Realm, and right, not the Shadow Realm. I know someone is gonna say like, yeah. It was a Shadow Duel or whatever, right? It was something supernatural. I don't know what is the term that they use in there, but the point is, like, he was always intimidating the opponents, right? It's like, oh no, Mai is losing her memory, or no, Joy is like, I don't know, I don't remember. And Bakura was also disappearing and stuff. Like, he was doing things to intimidate the opponent. He was also pretending to be someone else. He was doing so many like scummy things. Like, he wasn't active, like exactly like cheating with the cards, like the same obvious way that Bandit Keith was doing, but he was manipulating the environment. A shadow game, right? Yes, a shadow game. Okay, thank you. So I don't know. That was also cheating in a way, I believe.
What happens next between the anime and the manga is where things really take a twist. And a lot of people that have never read the manga don't even know that this actually happens. But in the anime, if you remember, Pegasus hits a button using his foot, the floor beneath Bandit Keith falls away, and he gets dumped into the ocean. We learn in the very next arc, the Battle City arc, that Bandit Keith does survive. He's actually rescued by the rare hunters, although definitely put quotation marks around the term rescued, but we'll get into that in a second. But this is where...
What the hell is this? I don't remember this. What is this?
Things take a really gruesome twist in the manga. Rather than dumping Keith out of the castle, Pegasus decides to inflict a penalty game called Hand and Gun on Keith, which is very, very, very symbolic of Bandit Keith and what's happening in this scene. Bandit Keith is holding a gun to Pegasus's head, and Pegasus reverses the tables by forcing Keith to hold a gun to his own head, and the gun actually acts like a game of Russian roulette, which is what Keith became enamored with after he lost to Pegasus back in America. Pegasus even called Keith the worst criminal scum after losing to him in America. And so Bandit Keith plays this penalty game, and he ends up shooting himself in the head, and that is the end of Bandit Keith. So if you were always wondering the differences between the anime and the manga from a massive canon perspective, this is the first...
Dude, this panel looks so funny. I want to use this panel as a reaction image. This looks so funny. Yet there is many example of cheating in Duel Monsters, yet people say Yugi is the biggest cheater. Yeah. People haven't just pay attention to the show. They are just saying things. Bandit's skill in Duel Links: every time you lose 1000 LP, you can send one card from your hand to the deck, shuffle, and draw another card. And at the time, Cosmic Cyclone was in the game. Okay, that sounds interesting. Domar, he appears after Little Yugi's soul is taken. Huh. Okay, the finger guns were canon the whole time. You're so right.
Big indicator that there is absolutely a different timeline, whether you're referring to the anime or the manga. In the anime timeline, Bandit Keith lives after Duelist Kingdom. In the manga timeline, Bandit Keith dies, brutally shooting himself in the head and dying at the feet of Maximilian Pegasus. So that is the end of Bandit Keith's story in the manga. I know he gets revived in Yu-Gi-Oh! R, but I'm not really going to go into that in this video. Now in
Okay, maybe it's too late to ask this, but what even is Yu-Gi-Oh! R? I'm so sorry. What is Yu-Gi-Oh! R? I've been too afraid to ask all this time. I don't. People have been mentioning it, and I will forget to ask. What even is Yu-Gi-Oh! R that they just revive a character? I don't understand.
Battle City, Bandit Keith is shown to us being controlled by Marek and the Rare Hunters. He ends up running out of the warehouse after it gets set on fire during Yugi's duel with Keith, and he is never seen again until Season 4, which, remember, is an anime-only arc, which is fitting because he's dead in the manga, and Duel Monsters is based off of the manga, even though there are pretty stark differences. We see Bandit Keith's lost soul wandering around the Stone Wilderness, which is a sacred valley. In my opinion, this probably means that Bandit Keith is dead.
Interesting. Yu-Gi-Oh! Art is like a dioba for the manga. Art takes place after Battle City. So after the manga ended, they put something between the Battle City and the Egypt arc, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! Art was not written by Takahashi first off. Oh. I know what Yu-Gi-Oh! Art is, and at this point I'm too afraid to ask. Yeah.
I believe he does die in the anime, much like he does in the manga. The terms of how he died in the anime are certainly left ambiguous, but I think the fact that his spirit is here wandering alongside a lot of other characters who have probably...
Arcana, Dogs, Id. What? Inhabiting the Stone Wilderness. Para, Seeker, Yamimari, Weevil. Interesting. By the way, Pepper, fun fact about Bones, he's voiced by the same VA as Thea, so... What? I knew the voice sounded familiar, but this always happened to me. Like, I was, whoa, where have I listened to this voice before? And it just happens to be someone from the same show. Yeah, I remember, what was it? I think Joy's voice is the voice for... Oh my god, I forgot the name of the guy. The guy with the key, with the Millennium Key, I think? Shadi, right? He's the voice of Joy. But also the voice of Grandpa? Question mark? I don't remember. It was something like that. I don't remember. But yeah.
Met death. A lot of Rare Hunters, actually, as well as Weevil Underwood, who had just lost his soul, and Yami Marek, who we know was exterminated at this point in the story. I think it heavily implies that Keith Howard is probably dead at this point in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. So, no matter what version you're watching, it's the same fate for Bandit Keith, America's own scumbag. And honestly, it's a shame. I feel like Bandit Keith is exactly what happens when you don't go to therapy. I feel like with 2 or 3 months of therapy, Bandit Keith probably could have kicked addiction. He probably could have gotten his life back.
You really think you can fix addiction with 3 months of therapy? That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say. Well, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure, at least for a extreme case like this, it will take more than 3 months.
On track, but instead we just see him fall deeper and deeper into darkness. In the manga, he's forced to kill himself after cheating and showing no remorse for it, and in the anime, well, he probably dies somewhere in a deserted alley. And Bandit Keith's story is basically one of normalize therapy, go to therapy, take care of your mental well-being, otherwise you are going to live a pretty rough life, much like Bandit Keith did. A lot of people don't know about his death in the manga, and I felt like it was kind of a fun 75k video to do, since I will be having to cosplay him in just a few months. But guys, that...
Thank you, Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything. Amazing video as always. I think, yep. Did I know about this? I knew about this. I thought it was going to be some more details. Pretty much everything that I already knew about the story. I don't remember this. I don't know. I feel like I have no memory after what happened to Battle City. After Battle City, I have no memory of the anime, so that's why I'm rewatching it right now. So yeah, we will see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, cool video.